the music. We were trying to get the music down. So wonderful. We're here finally for the podcast. So let me say, picture this, right? A teenage girl full of life and dreams and hope, suddenly stripped of her freedom. She isn't in another country. She's in this country, right? And she isn't part of a story happening far, far away. It could be your neighbor, it can be your classmate, it can be the girl next to you in church. And according to the International Labor Organization, over 4.8 million people worldwide are trapped and forced into sexual exploitation today. And many of them are children as young as 12 or even younger. And it's not just a global crisis, it's a community crisis. And yet, in the darkest places, stories of resilience still rise. And tonight, we're going to hear from two remarkable women who have taken their own journeys of faith and resilience and creativity and turned them into something that can be transformative for survivors to see. And that way we fight human trafficking. So this is Through the Eyes of Survivors. I'm your host, Tara Woodley, and let's begin.
Important notice: the following content may be triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. All discussions are based on personal opinions and experiences. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out to a local support organization. Important.
Well, wonderful. Thank you for being back to Through the Eyes of Survivors. Before I introduce our guest, I have to plug our affiliates real quick. Truth Finder, take a quick moment to talk about something that can really empower you in your journey towards safety and healing. It's called Truth Finder. This is a simple tool that helps you uncover public records and background information about people you may encounter in your life. So whether you're reconnecting with someone or just need some background information about someone you're considering dating, it's a good way to check those resources out. Truth Finder provides you with the information you need to make those critical decisions. And Through the Eyes of Survivors, we're all about creating that safe space and giving survivors the tools they need to reclaim power. So check out Truth Finder in the links below. And you help support our mission with that. And also, let's see, Opus Clips. That is an AI-driven platform that turns podcast content like this, long form content, into short, impactful clips. From survivor stories to hard truths, we use Opus Clips here, and it helps amplify our voices. So if you want to use something like that in your platform, use our link and you help us do support our programs and everything. And then the last one is the Self-Defense Keychain Store, which we are proudly affiliated with them. This is a woman minority-based business that is committed to empowering individuals with practical, discreet, and stylish self-defense tools. By shopping through our affiliate link, you're not only investing in personal safety, but you're supporting our mission to raise awareness about domestic violence. So use the code Break the Silence for 10% off when you shop. So let me get into introducing these wonderful ladies that we have in here today. So they are joining me. They are definitely women whose work embodies courage and hope, and we strive to highlight this definitely here on this podcast. So Lisettey Sandoval is an award-winning filmmaker and producer. Her work centers on creating social impactful films that awaken audiences and inspire transformation. Her debut film Penelope's Story tells the journey of a teenage survivor of human trafficking. who overcomes unimaginable trauma through faith and determination. And the film has been selected at 5 Canadian Canadian sorry, and international film festivals, earning 2 nominations and an award, and is now distributed globally, available for free on, is it Fossum TV
Yes,
app?
that's correct.
Yes. Lisetti's mission is to use the film as a vehicle for change and celebrating the human spirit's resilience and motivating people. So it's a really presses for the best version of yourselves. And I watched it. It was very impactful, I have to say. And then, um, is it pronounced Corina?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
You got
She's
it.
a award-winning actress, wife and mother of 2 sons. So she's been acting since grade 1 and then knew her storytelling was her calling, right? So Journey led her to Vancouver's Gastown Actor Studio, where she trained professionally before um, her life took an unexpected turn and recommitted her life to Christ. So that it's a powerful. She paused her acting dream to become a house parent at Ralph. Is it Rafa Place? Thank you. My
Mhm.
old eyes. Which is a recovery home for women living in the streets of Vancouver, right? With
Mhm.
cycles of addiction and prostitution for 2 decades. She witnessed the profound trauma and also the freedom found in God's deliverance. So we are excited to have both of them here. Corina, portrays Estella in Penelope's story, correct? Right. And together they're carrying this mission. So through storytelling. So welcome, ladies. We're so
Thank you.
thankful for you to be here.
Thank you so much, Tara. Thank you
Mm.
so much for having us.
Yeah.
Yes. So I know this is a very passionate area for myself and my husband as well. My husband has speaks on human trafficking quite a bit. He used to work for the government to help rescue young girls across the border from Mexico
Mm.
who had been trafficked, and now he's a truck driver, so he helps truckers against trafficking, and so
Mhm.
that's the area of domestic violence where he's very passionate about for many years. So your story, when we watched it, was was very, you know, it was very inspiring, I have to say. Um, so Lisetti, let's start with your own journey because I heard that that is a really wonderful, like, storytelling experience that you have with lots of resilience of what you had been through. So, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, yes, of course. Thank you, Tara, for that question because it's very deep for me. It brings me back to the past, to why I made Penelope story, why I made this film. Um, so, as you see, that Penelope is this is the rebirth of a victim of sex trafficking. This is what the film is all about, and where she's able to break the cycle of abuse through faith. And I can relate to that in terms of like the spiritual journey that she goes through. And I remember when we went to a vacation in 2020 to Manitoulin Island, northern Ontario here in Canada. And it's a beautiful place, but it's like very secluded. You will see a lot of farms, maybe one police station, one community center. And we saw this huge billboard on the highway that said, buying sex is a crime, and I never seen anything like that here in Canada. So I thought, okay, what's going on here? And I started to see more of those type of billboards across the highway, and that's when it led me to do the research. And I went in and talked to several organizations in the area that help victims and survivors of human and sex trafficking. And one of the things that they told me, that even though they help them out physically, emotionally. They give them psychiatrists, everything. They told me that they go back within 3 months. They go back to their abusers, or it's actually worse than what they started. And that shocked me because I said, Why?" And she told me that the common denominator that she can tell is that unfortunately the conditioning, the mental conditioning that these abusers use on them is just telling them, you cannot be out there without me, you're nothing without me, who's gonna love you the way you are right now. And it's just turned into a story that they started to believe so much that even though they were no longer with the abuser, mentally they're trapped.
Yes.
And that was shocking to me, because I was able to connect. I'm like, I know how that feels because I went through something like that as well in my early 20s. And all the things that they mentioned, including the 1 out of 4 of these young girls are indigenous, and no one is saying anything about that.
Mhm.
And I took it personal. I took it personal, and I said, okay, as a filmmaker, what can I do to not only bring up awareness of what's happening here in our backyards, like you said, Tara, which is true, but also how can I help uh, the survivors, the victims, that is possible to break free from the chains that the abuser put our minds into. Like, we're not able to move forward. We're not able to trust anybody.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing, I believe, because even though we're far away from the abuser, he's still in our minds. Like, we can't do anything. We can't move on. We cannot be with another man. We cannot trust anybody because we think that they're going out there to get us. Or, what do you want? Why you're so nice to me? It's terrible. And I was able to connect with them that way. And Tara, just to let you know a little bit of what I went through in my early 20s. I married young, and I was in a relationship that was not good for me. I was living in a home with other 2 men that were not my husband, or were single, and they were constantly hitting on me while my husband was on road trips. And I would only see him like twice a week. And it got to a point where I had to sleep with the light on and put a dresser on the door because I was afraid of
Well,
my safety. And then when he came back and I would mention something, this is that's happening to me, he will not believe me, will leave the friends, that everything was in my mind. And I allow it to strip my self-confidence, to strip my self-esteem, and to get to a point where, like, is this all it is? Like, this is normal? Like, this is how marriage is supposed to be? And not only that, but like just the constant reminder that I was nobody without him. It became an idol to me because I had no family here other than him. And I knew it was bad for me, but yet I wanted to be there because I knew I had nobody else. I had nowhere else to go. And so I feel like that was the anchor that just kept me down for years. But it got to a point where I said, enough is enough. It got
mhm.
to a point where I started hating myself, hating hating what he was making me go through, um, hating the fact that I had to turn myself into someone else just to I can please him. So in my head, I was like I wasn't good enough. Like, I had to be better. I have to do other things. I have to please his friends or whatever. And then that's when I started saying, like, this is not me. Like, I can't do this anymore. And I remember telling him I'm out, and he started using tactics on, like, well, you're gonna lose this, you're gonna lose the house, you're gonna lose this, like, you're gonna be alone, who's gonna love you like this, you're gonna be divorced, what are your parents are gonna say? And it was like all those stories that I started to believe, and it stripped me from my own identity. Like, I wasn't the same person when I met him. And it got to a point where he left, and I actually thought he was coming back, but he wasn't coming back. It was almost 30 days, and I started getting worried because all the stuff was under his name. Nothing was under my name. That's another way to control
Oh,
too.
oh, yes.
It was not on my name. It was under his name and the friend's name. The car was in his name. Everything, right? So that was another way to control me, and I had to sign papers um, for me not to be in it. in the lease or in the dean of the home, everything. And I was just doing it because I wanted to please him. I didn't know that was a form of abuse. That's another thing, and I thought this was normal. Like, my mom and my dad, I saw them also fighting, and I thought that was normal. And I remember my mom always said to my dad, like, I will support everything, I will stand everything, but if you hit me, then I leave.
Mhm.
So it's like I put a barrier. Like, it's okay for you to mentally abuse me, do whatever you want, strip me, do whatever, but just don't hit me, and I'm okay. And I'm like, no, I want another layer now. Like,
Yes.
that's not good enough for me. And that's when I was to my lowest point, Tara, where I felt like he actually was not coming back. And I remember a friend of mine brought me to a church, and I didn't want to get in. I was like, I'm gonna wait here outside, in the parking lot. You go in, I'll wait for you. I was just so afraid of church at the time because I tried everything. I tried everything, all kinds of religions, all kinds of therapists, but it wasn't enough. It was not filling me in. So when she told me, wait here for 10 minutes and I'll come back, and it turned into an hour. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go get her. And I saw her at the back of the church, and then I saw a 15-year-old talking. I'm like, okay, this is new. I mean, usually it's a pastor talking, but it was a 15-year-old girl saying her story and how she was able to let go of bad friends in order for her to be herself.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I just kept
Mm.
listening. But then I decided, you know what, I just have to go. And as soon as I was leaving, the pastor just out loud says it, I know you been running from me, and you have tried everything and nothing is working. And that's when I start crying. I'm like, I don't know this guy. Like, I never seen him before. um, but then when he hold my hands, he did tell me something that I will never forget. And is that God said to me, Jesus says, I put you here, I brought you here, no man brought you here.
Mhm.
So so you stay with me and I will lift you up. You don't need no man to do that for you.
Right.
Was a revelation to me. It felt like a big burden fell off of me because in my head I believed that only with him I was able to be anything because I had nobody else. And I was so afraid of what to do next. Like, where would I go? Where would I end up? And I
Right.
couldn't go back to my parents because my parents were, you are a failure if you are not in the relationship. If you're like divorced, that's like a big no-no in our family. That's like, you're the black sheep. So I
Mhm.
had nowhere to go. And 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 then I said, you know what, I don't care about house, I don't care about car, I don't care about status, I don't care about anything. I just want my freedom to be who I want
Mm.
again. And and I remember my attorney at the time, she told me, like, you better call this guy, tell him you want to sign papers because you're driving a car that's not in your name. If the police stops you could go to jail because you have nothing is under your name. And he can just say, hey, someone stole my car, out of revenge. So, but I did my research. What are my rights, right? In order for me to move on to the next step. But I knew I didn't want to go back to the same lifestyle that he was giving me. It wasn't good enough for me anymore because I hated it. And and that's when I remember telling him, look, I want to settle. I want to just take everything. Don't give me anything. I just want to walk away. Like, I want to sign papers like today. He's like, what happened to you? Like, you look different. You're not the same. And I'm like, yeah, well, I've been seeing someone. It's like, well, yeah, well, I met Jesus. Jesus Christ. And so there's like, oh, okay. So like, and now I find out I don't actually need Judas to lift me up because I can do this on my own. And I remember he was trying really hard to bring me back to the old story. And it
Right.
was it was so hard. And I said, you know what? No, if me staying with you means to go back, that's it. I don't want it. I'm sorry, but if you want to change and follow me, then that will be good. I guess I will try to try to amend things with you. And I remember that after seeing my change in me, that's when he said, I want to know this God of yours. And he did change, but But the next level, though, that no one talks about is that resentment that was still in me. Even though I was still with him, I
Yes.
was carrying the memories, I was carrying
Mhm.
the hurt. And sometimes I'll be like washing dishes, and then the bad memories, all the things that he did to me, that he said to me, that he put me through, and I will just cry and start shaking like it was there.
Right.
No one tells you about this stuff. Like, it's just forget and let go. Like, it's not as simple. But
No.
so it took me a year for me to completely heal. And I remember Estella, which was my mentor in real life, this person is real. She told me, I know Lisette is hard. You gotta just ask God that to help you forgive, but for you, not for him. Because otherwise you won't be able to truly move on, and you're gonna pass that to your kids and so forth. He said you gotta break that. You gotta break that cycle of abuse.
Mhm.
And even if you're the first person in your family, it only takes one person to do that.
Right.
And then I'm like, but that sounds crazy. How would I even know like that I forgave someone? It's like when you remember all those memories and the whole picture shows in your head and you won't feel a thing. That's how you know.
Yes.
And Tara, it was crazy because I didn't think that it would ever happen. But a year and a half later, I was driving in the car on a stop sign, and the whole memory of all the bad things that I went through years ago just came to my mind. It was so vivid, but I didn't feel a thing. I was just like, okay, where is the heartbeat? Usually my heart will start racing or my hands will start shaking. But I was expecting for those symptoms to follow, but they didn't come. And that's
Mhm.
when I start crying. I just start crying and crying and just pour out because I'm like, this is how it feels to be truly free. And that's how I knew I wanted to just say that out loud. And that's how I was able to, like, I'm going to give these keys in my film to everyone who has gone through any kind of abuse because it is true, it's possible.
Mhm. Oh,
So
that's beautiful. Very impactful. I'm so grateful you shared that with
thank
us.
you.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And Corina, can you talk to us a little bit about like some of your background, that day to day living with women who had addiction and prostitution, and some of your background with your story?
Sure. So, as I had shared a little mini bio. Sorry, is it Tara or Tara?
It's Tara. Yes.
Thank you. So, with Tara, and when I had moved to Vancouver and I was going to acting school to pursue my dream, and it uh, changed when I had returned to the Lord, and I just felt like I needed to just lay it down for a time. And my next job was working. It was a recovery home in Vancouver called Rafa Place, which means healing. And the founder of Rafa Place was a pimp, and he was sent to jail.
Mm,
And in jail, he found the Lord, and the Lord sent him back out on the street and said, "This time for my purpose." So he had built this house for a safe place for women to go, and just I don't know. So just the story goes, as God would have it, they were needing. There were house parents there, but they were leaving, and my husband and I had shared our testimonies at our church, and there was people there that were a part of the board and said, "We think you're the ones." We're like, "What?" Like, we'd only been married like 2 years or something, and a lot of the women were much older than us, because by the time you're ready for the safe house and recovery home, they've kind of hit rock bottom, right? Like, they'd lost their children. And so living every day, it was hard. It's a whole other culture, and again, like, dealing, living with people who are very broken. And I mean, we all have brokenness. I mean, we all have pain and brokenness to some extent, right? And or like PTSD, and just that cycle of addiction too. As Lisetti was saying, like, going back to the streets, or going back to
mm,
your abuser. And so it was it was It was challenging. I just want to clarify, it wasn't for 20 years that I was with the women.
Okay, yeah, that's what I had in my bio, so I'm
That's
just sorry
sorry.
about that. But
That's
go
okay. So
ahead.
yeah, it was a year and a half, but it was very impactful because we lived with them. Like I was right in there, but we had
So more like 20 months, right?
right 20 months.
Yeah.
So but it was because it was a Christian ministry. We had um, like devotionals in the morning, and then the women were busy doing meetings and different things, and we had like codependency classes and things like that. Like just the focus was healing and recovery, but a lot did go back, but a lot were we saw some miracles of people, of many women were getting their life restored and back back to their families and children. And so it was wonderful to see the power of, as you're saying, like forgiveness and just that healing, and that there is hope of renewing your mind, of breaking free from those stinking thinking and those patterns and the fear, that there is healing and there is deliverance of being delivered from being held captive to that.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Well, what we're going to do real quick is take our quick mid-roll break, talk about our store real quick. If you're in there listening, please put comments in the chat here. Any questions? We'll answer questions at the end if you have any questions for Lisetti and Corina. So, but just real quick, we're gonna plug a quick video about our store. We hope you're enjoying this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. We wanted to pause for a moment and let you know that Through the Eyes of Survivors has a shop now open. And this is a great way for you to not only help survivors of domestic violence, but also let everyone know that you will not be silent about this important cause. From t shirts to bags to coffee mugs, we have so much to choose from. To grab your swag, head to our store at breakthesilencedv.org. That's store.breakthesilencedv.org. We can't say enough about how much we appreciate all that the community does to help support us and this organization. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode and continue to subscribe to future episodes. Thank you. And we're back. So please make your purchase at the store, especially for October coming up. You want to get your official, domestic violence awareness gear for October. Get it now so you have it in time. So check us out there. So we are back talking about, let's talk more about Penelope's story, right? So do you, this is for both of you, either one. I know that like there's plenty of research out there that shows that trafficking survivors were first exploited teenagers, and many of them as young as like 12 to 14. So let's talk about some of these red flags that people need to know and how Penelope's story brings that kind of awareness. So which one of you, either one, want to go first and talk about that?
Corina, you wanted to?
Sure. Well, what's coming to me, just something I learned as I worked with, it was called Crossfire Ministries, is the recruitment process. Sometimes you have even other girls, young girls, recruiting girls
Mhm.
to kind of groom them. And that was a real surprise to me to learn about that. So in the culture that I was working with, the lure ended up becoming, though, besides, like the manipulation of the clothes and, all of that schmoozing, but drug addiction, where they get to a point where, they'll do anything for more.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, the red flags would be, yeah, just that. which you talk about, Tara. I really enjoyed your story listening to you. Just the girls that are, or guys that are just being isolated.
Mhm.
Community
Well,
is.
and they do try to recruit them in even, from those childhood ages. I know with my
Mhm.
daughter story, he was trying to get her to recruit other women in there, and they were full grown women, but they do this with children even in their, even the person who's helping facilitate this can be a child, an older male, but he's still a child in age. It doesn't I've seen that story too many times in schools where it's, 13, 14-year-old girls, but it's a 17-year-old young man who's grooming them and exploiting them and using them. So
Mm.
it's not even, we always want to think older men and younger women, but it's not so much that at all. So parents have to be more aware of who your
Yes.
children are with,
Agree.
um, and they use such crazy things now, like games, to connect with your child. It isn't They don't even have
Mhm.
to be there one on one. Knowing your children, they do it through video games. I think here lately, Roblox has been big in the media about what's
Mm.
going on
Mm.
in
Oh,
Roblox back there.
Yeah.
So these are all things that parents have to be aware of, because there are people
mm.
reaching out to your children in ways that this didn't happen back 20 years ago, right?
Yes.
Or even 10 years ago.
Mm.
It's new creative ways every time you turn around. So,
Right.
Lisetti, what are some of the things that you think that Penelope's story helped in bringing forward awareness on trafficking?
So one of the things as well that comes to mind is the fact that some of these young women don't know that they're being trafficked, and that's a huge red flag because they will think that this is normal, and it all starts with favors. Uh, the abuser or the predator, they get them inside this ring. That's what they call it. By just like, hey, oh, I can see that you want to go to college, but you don't have the means to do that. So how about I pay for your college? And I'm like, what, really? And they just look at it as like, oh, you're my Prince Charming in a way.
Mhm.
And then they start giving them things, and you don't have where to stay. Your parents kick you out of the house. I'll give you a place where to stay. And the beginning it is all nice and pretty and safe to a point where like maybe for a month or two, but then after that they're like, okay, well, it's time to pay. Like this is crazy. And that's when they're like, what do you mean I don't have any money? I'm like, well, I was thinking maybe you can do this favor with my friend. You sleep with my friend, and
Right.
then that will pay the first month of rent that you already owe me. When they were thinking that he was just being nice for giving them things for free, without asking anything in return. And that's how it goes, like from one favor to another favor, for a friend to another friend. And when little they know, they're already traveling across the country, sleep with different types of men as a favor, just for them to continue on living under a shelter and have food, or have clothes, or have the main necessities.
Mm.
Again,
Mhm.
in their languages, it's just a favor. It's the least thing I can do for him because he has given me all this. And it goes to a point where it becomes the conditioning of the mind, where it
Right.
gets to a point where the woman, the girl, it goes like, that's it. I can't be without him. He gets me everything. And that's when it's a lot harder to let go and detach. And that's one of the things that I touch in Penelope's story as well.
Yes, yes. Well, and a lot of times they also use the addiction, right?
Yeah.
They
Oh,
introduce drugs in there
mhm.
to
That's
keep
right.
them more tied to
Definitely.
themselves and keep more control.
Mm.
And I imagine, Karina, you saw a lot of that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a big insidious part of it for sure.
Yes.
Mm.
Um, so um, see, Karina, like, um, I know sometimes these stories have setbacks and then they have victories. So tell us about like stepping into the role of a Stella. Like, how did your faith and your years of your walking, how did you use that to approach the character when you played her?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, how did I use that? Well, I mean, first of all, it was such a big kiss from God because, as I had shared, I had laid my acting career down for many, 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 many years. And then when I felt God calling me back into it, as you know, my sons were raised, and I'm a grown woman. I'm not vulnerable and 22 and zealous and, gonna get taken advantage of. Like, he literally rescued me. And then he would cast me in a faith-based film that's about real life, dark issues that brings hope, which is my mission and mandate. And it's a spiritual mentor on human trafficking. And it was just like God brought it full circle.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I mean, that to me was just wow. So I mean, I guess my encouragement to all is just, God knows, and he has a plan. So just, yeah, it helped with actually creating a Stella's backstory too.
Mm-hmm.
Making it very real and intentional, like who this person was and what her history was and what her story was that made her who she was today, and one that was about, breaking the silence and wanting to free those that were caught.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think I'm gonna read a few of the comments and see if you ladies want to respond to them. We've got quite a few, so I'm going to start with my lovely husband. So this is Jim. He says recruitment of people for abuse is definitely a psychological manipulation thing.
Mm,
Once a trafficker achieves the level where their target has an unrealistic desire for their approval,
Mm,
they have basically won.
yep.
And
mm,
then the addiction starts to secure the abuser's desired results.
Mm,
It's a sad abuse of innocence and a desire for love.
yep.
So, yes, we definitely agree.
mm.
Did you ladies have anything to add to that?
No, that's really
That's
awesome.
the truth. Yeah, like
Mm,
that's very well put together.
mm,
Those are the layers. That's how it starts. Unfortunately, we we get caught in that play where we will do whatever just to feel like we belong, that we feel loved, that we
mhm,
feel safe. Especially women, we just want safety, right? And we think that this man will give it to us, and we're willing to do whatever it takes so we can remain under that safety net.
Right.
But it takes to a point where you have to hate, so that way you don't tolerate it anymore. And one of the things that I learned from one of I call him my mentors because I follow him, is that Dr. Miles Monroe. He said, "What you don't hate, you will tolerate."
Oh, yes.
mm,
Yeah. And it got to me because I'm like, that's when I decided to take that chance on me, like, forget him, right? I
mm,
Because I hate this situation. I hate what I got turned into, and I hate what he has done to get me to think this way and strip me away from my identity. And when I hated that situation, that's when I make the breakthrough. But before, I was tolerating because I didn't hate it. I loved him, right?
mm.
And that's the play where we're caught in that circle.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah, I completely agree with Jim on that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
Yes.
I like that, unrealistic desire for their approval.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's so heavy, isn't it? It's so grieving. But
Yes.
there's always hope and
Yes.
Yes.
and
So let's
That's
see
very.
what else we have here. Lisa, we're so glad you advocate. That's
yes.
awesome. That's powerful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Gail, I just want to say, um, yeah, we're so sorry that you lost a daughter and a sister to domestic violence. I know myself and my husband know how that feel, and and we're so sad for your loss, and we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
So, let's see. I know we had some other comments in here. Let's see. So, and Gail responded to Jim about that. I thank God for His strength and grace. I have created a foundation in their honor, help serve women and children. Wonderful, wonderful, Gail. That's wonderful
Amazing.
because their lives were not in vain. I will tell you
Mm.
that right now.
Amen.
So, so if you have any more questions while we're talking, please put them into the chat. We'd love to anything about their stories or about Penelope's story because that was just it was really impactful for me for like to watch that. Do you want to give them just a little glimpse of the story, just a little like tell a little bit of kind of what happens within that?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Um, but it always start, like in the dark side of what she's at, like in that position that she has been put on, and 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 how we see her story from victim to the hero of her own life, where now she's able to learn the toughest lesson, which is how can she turn all that mess that she went through and now turn it into her message. And that's something that she has to go through the whole story to learn how to do that, because it's a heavy burden for someone to say, how can I turn all that pain and say, I'm alive, I'm a survivor, and I want to help others. It's hard. But once you have that light that is shared in the film, it only takes one person to break the cycle of abuse, and that's what Penelope's story reveals. That, and the keys that I have been taught as well, um, how I was able to overcome mental abuse are there, like all the keys are there,
Mm.
and it's just like follow the path. And it got me thinking I was also able to turn whatever mess I had, and I was able to turn it into my message and now share it with the world. And that's the reason why I was so happy that I'm able to give it for free, because freely was given to me. So, and
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it was accessible for everybody around the world.
Yes,
Yeah.
wonderful. Now,
Mhm.
I know we have that link in here, and it will be in the description, but yeah, definitely check it out. Definitely. It was, I have seen a few of the different movies from different people that we've had in here, and I have to say this one was really impacted me. So,
Yes.
you ladies did an incredible work with that. So,
Mhm.
let's see. Um, so, what about the audiences? Have you had feedback from the audiences about what kind of impact it's had
Mhm.
on them?
Yes, yes, definitely. When we were doing the film festivals, we were showing the film to a live audience, and at the end we were doing Q&A, like, and then some of the women came to me and crying, and I would cry with them, and they would tell me, your film healed me, or your film touched something that I didn't want to bring it to the surface, but this allowed me to break free. Something that was very impactful for me, two testimonies that I got, was that she was going through the same type of abuse with the husband. It was also mental abuse in terms of her physique and that she had to lose certain amount of weight in order for her to be pleased to his eyes. Otherwise, he will leave her. Like he will mock her and validate her in every turn. But with the film, she said that she had the guts to say, "I'm out."
Good.
And I was so happy. I embraced her, and I said, as long as you know that you did the right thing and you're safe, that's all that matters. And then another person told me, Lisetti, because of what you said, because I was able to express what I just said here, uh, in front of all the audience, they were now they didn't feel alone. They're like, I thought it was just me. I thought I just have to keep it to myself. But
Mhm.
like your show, Tara, like your entire organization, you say break the silence, and
Hmm.
they were able to do that. And there's like, I feel liberated that I'm not alone. And your story actually helped me to move forward to like, now I know what to do next. And that got me thinking, wow, maybe I should continue sharing my story, because at the beginning it was very hard. It was very hard to, because it felt to me like I was stained, like I,
Right.
like my family
Mm.
made me feel bad about it, and like, oh, don't say that, because you know what the family is gonna think, what the friends are gonna say. So I kept it to myself. But as soon as I broke the silence and I share my story, and I could see all these women healing and coming to me, feeling empowered and willing to do the next step. That's when I said, enough is enough. No, I'm not gonna follow what they might say about me. If my story can help another person, why would I keep it to myself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a calling. It really is a calling. When God calls you to speak in that manner, you
Yes.
have to heed the calling. And
Yeah.
it's difficult
It is.
because I know for me, I liken it to when I tell my story and I speak out in public about it at different engagements and stuff. Of
Yes.
it's a wound. It's still seeping and oozing, and for me to tell that story is like ripping the Band-Aid off. It's really painful, but
Yeah.
then I know I'm putting a new bandage on it, and every time it gets a little smaller and a little smaller, it's still there, but it's when the real healing occurs. It
Right.
really is. It's impactful to be able to express
Yes.
what you went through, what you've endured, and especially when God comes into it in a big way,
Mm.
to express the power of His love in your healing as well is very impactful. So,
Yes.
yes.
It is amazing. Yeah, it is. Like you said, it is a calling, and you can move away from the calling.
Mhm.
And that's when you start realizing other people are healing with you. It is, and you're developing, like you just said, it's like you growing, because you're also healing in in the process
Mhm.
completely. And it is an amazing journey, uh, to see that through the eyes of another person, seeing my film, like seeing, listening to the story. And I know what you do as well, Tara. It has healed many people, and it will continue to heal more people and help them move forward.
Mhm. Well,
Well,
thank you.
even what Estella says, turning your mess into a message,
Mm.
and
Yes.
that takes a lot of courage.
Mhm.
And I
Yes,
just want to commend you all that, and Tara, this whole organization. Like, think of the women and men that are being saved, that God is going to use to save many.
that's right.
Mhm.
I give
And
you
and even in the comments, I have been in this organization and even worked the social media end of it back in the day when it first started, and you will be amazed just in your comments how you are in there sharing your comments right now with your little bits of your story.
a
It makes an impact to people out there. They don't feel they're alone.
That's right. Yeah,
And somebody has something in common with what you put in there. So just express yourself. I know it's scary because sometimes, like on social media, people blow back and they want to argue and be ugly, but truth is truth,
that's right.
and that prevails in the end. So absolutely. So I'd like to ask each of you before we end the podcast
Mhm.
too, for each of you, what would you like society to learn or change through Penelope's story? What kind of impact would you like it to have for society as a whole? So,
Karina, you want to start first?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, it's awareness. It's bringing awareness. It's bringing it out. It's not the ostrich head in the sand. It's looking at it, though it's hard and it's ugly, but it's real, and it's a lot of people's reality. And and we all have, again, as I said earlier, we all have pain, we all have some kind of torment and wound that we need to heal from it, and that there is hope, and that
yes.
there is healing, and there is a way out, and to just hold on to perseverance. And if you're caught in something that you want out of, you have to want it.
Hmm.
You have to, right? You have to really want it. Like Lisetti, you just came to a point where it's like, I'm done. I've got to be, I want out of this.
Yeah.
And keep community.
Hmm.
Don't isolate.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I would like to have Penelope's story to become a movement of hope, and also to bring out mercy, because society looks at, let's say, prostitution or trafficking in a certain way based on what the media has portrayed it to be, but we don't know what's going on really behind doors. We don't know why they're there. And once you start seeing, let's say, Penelope's story or any other of the stories of the survivors, that's when you start realizing I have a lot more in common than I thought.
Hmm.
And then you start reaching out, not only just in prayer but also in movement, like, actually, what can I do, what can I bring that I have to help or support anyone that has gone through any kind of abuse. and
Right.
and one of the things that I want to do with Penelope's story is also bringing out to high schools, uh, and start telling them from like very young age, this is what's out there, these are the tactics they use, beware, they are resources. And because one of the main things that they were using, like, based on the organization's research that I was doing, is that they tackle on the fact that they are lacking resources, lacking money, or lacking housing, or lacking, and that's where they go to the most vulnerable ones.
Hmm.
And but if I go into the high schools and I say, hey, there is resources for you. Is this program? We have this. You want to go to college? This is it. Like, we do have the resources, but the government doesn't talk about this in high schools. So most people don't know what to do next, what's out there. So I would like to empower youth first, and so that way we can stand up against any kind of predators, and also for those who have unfortunately gone through any kind of abuse, to bring up hope, to bring up the light, that there is a way out. And if you have tried absolutely everything, you watch Penelope's story and you realize that, yeah, God exists, and if he was able to help me break free, he can do it with anyone. We just have to be brave enough to say enough is enough. That's our step of faith,
Mhm.
Hmm.
and not tolerate anymore any kind of abuse. And because we deserve to be safe, we deserve to be happy, we deserve to be in an environment where we can speak up and our voice to be heard, and not to be censored or minimized by anything or by anyone. And so that's my hope, that we can make it a movement of hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Montrose said that she'd like to see more resources for women in church settings. Yes.
Nice.
Yes, we
Yeah.
would as well. That's another place, the schools for the children and churches as well.
That's
Yeah,
right.
because
Yeah,
to me, that's always been a staggering statistics that the statistics don't change amongst the Christian population
that's true.
in churches.
Mhm.
So I think a lot more education needs to be and awareness brought to the church communities.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yes, no, you're right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we close?
Um, well, Tara, I admire you, and I felt so comfortable talking with you and Corina today. It just felt like a conversation, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you're doing and what you keep doing for all the survivors, and I'm just very thankful and honored to have spent this time with you. So thank you, and your audience for being here as well.
Well, no, it's my honor. It's my pleasure to have you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And I know God is going to bless this work and continue to bless
Yes.
this work for y'all as well.
Thank
Um,
you.
so, yes, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
um, in closing, everybody out there, every time I sit behind this microphone, I think of my daughter Ashley and the purpose she never got to fulfill here. And I think about all the daughters out there and sisters and sons even who are still being silenced by abuse and exploitation. And this is what Lisettey and Corina remind us tonight that silence is the trafficker's weapon.
That's right.
But through storytelling, we can find resilience, right? So human trafficking, it thrives in those dark places, but films like Penelope's story force it into the light.
That's right.
So when you watch it and when you share it and when you have conversations with your family and your churches and your schools, right? You are breaking those chains that someone thought would never be broken.
Yes.
So I want to leave you with this today. You don't have to be a filmmaker and you don't have to be an actress. You don't have to be a CEO of an organization. You can be a house parent and still make a difference.
That's right.
You just have to care enough to notice, speak out, speak up, act,
Yes.
right?
That's
The
right.
battle is against trafficking, fought it's not just fought by organizations alone. It's fought in our home, in our classroom,
Mm.
and every heart that refuses to look away. So,
Yes.
together, we can make sure survivors are not just seen, but they are celebrated and empowered and freed. And you are definitely not alone in there. So, wonderful ladies, thank you for joining us. And everybody out there, please check out our website, btsadv.org, where you can donate, you can volunteer, or you can learn more how to get involved. We do need volunteers, whether it's 1 hour or more a week. They are remote volunteering positions, anywhere from social media to a support line. Um, um, go to the website and apply. And I would love to, especially if you like our podcast, we need podcast moderators as part of the production team. And that's just somebody who watches like the live on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube and help manage those conversations in there. So if you would like to volunteer in that manner, please, again, check out the website, btsadv.org, and let us know. Also, don't forget about our Survivor to Survivor mini podcast that drops every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, where we answer real questions from you, the public, from one survivor to another. And also, we do have a TikTok. Check out our TikTok. It's at BTSADV7. where we're doing a series over there called the Narc Diaries. So we read all the crazy things that people send in that their narcissist said to them. And
Mm.
yes, and it's been growing over there. It's been very impactful. So go over there and follow us, because what we're getting closer to reach 1,000 viewers. I'd love to hit 1,000 by October, because then we want to have live discussion panels with you, the public, over there in TikTok, and we can't make that happen till we hit that 1,000. So please go over there and follow us. And until next time, we will see you next week here at Through the Eyes of Survivors Uncensored, where we deal with the current topic of the day out there in the news. So thank you, ladies, for being here, and we will
Thank you,
see you
Tara.
next
Thank
week.
you.
For the
Yes.
inspiration. You're an inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
So are
you.
y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. My name is Tara Woodley, and I am the president of Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence, an organization that gives survivors and their families, and the families that have lost loved ones to domestic violence, access to a community that understands the journey that they're facing. We hope this episode impacts you, and hopefully you want to learn more about the topic. If it is helping you in some way, let us know in the comments below. We love your feedback. Also, make sure to click the subscribe button below and the bell right next to it, so that you can get notified the next time an episode premieres. We hope you will see us in the next episode, and thank you.